Welcome back to Young and Evil. So let's proceed towards the Black Isle. At any point, you can
boat
pull
levels from Sonic Rush Adventure.
You can pull this radar first-person thingy that can also pinpoint you in the general direction, but you also have a sort of map that can easily help you. The overworld is not even that big, so you're not getting lost that easily. And sometimes, oh, there you go. For example, here are some dolphins.
From the same family as the scorpion fish. Very difficult to photograph.
In this case,
Okay,
oh, there you go. Since we completed one roll,
Bravo, Jade.
we get our first reward, a zoom.
And I'll reach
In fact, speaking of levels where you have to do a lot of boating around,
Yeah.
which one would you guys rather play? Would you rather play the ones from Mario's Time Machine or Sonic Rush Adventure?
I've only played one of those games, so Sonic Rush Adventure.
Remember, Jove, it's Mario is missing. No, it's Mario. No, Mario's Time Machine. Mario's Time Machine actually has those where you use that surfing minigame.
I've heard of Mario's Missing, but I've never heard of Mario's Time Machine.
Mario's Missing actually doesn't have. It has the Mario Time Machine. I think the AVGN covered it with. I forgot.
It's the other.
Educational game.
Educational game. There's actually two Mario educational games from back in the day. Mario's Time Machine is and Mario is Missing. Mario's Missing is the one that's most well known.
Typing was pretty educational.
Anyway,
what about Mario's early years?
We'll get to the main city of Hyllis later on. For now, we just need to focus on our mission right now.
So we're not going to do anything about that burning building, I guess.
No, remember the Alpha team is doing everything because their dicks are so big, apparently.
The Alpha team and we're the Beta team. What is this? Power Rangers SPD.
Anyway, land
And
ho!
apparently the composer feels the need to have a relaxing moment.
On Black Isle.
Again, I don't know where Michel Ansel picked this guy up, but he has incredible talent.
A
Anyway,
hover limo. Interesting.
remember, Jova, it's the future.
You know, obviously this was made by the division centered in Italy because transportation is by water.
Toby, you say that as though the entirety of Italy is Italy.
Well, they're well known for Venice.
Apparently, there are a terrorist group opposing the Alpha team, but I'm sure it's not important.
Well, Jova's got a point there because right now, behind my laptop, there's my TV screen with my shield, and it's on screensaver mode. And one of the pictures in the slideshow of the save screen is a picture of Venice.
Anyway,
that's what they picked to represent Italy.
Yeah.
The Alpha sections claim to be pushing back the DomZ, but they're hiding the truth.
No.
I love how it's the men in black who have to tell us what's the truth. Normally they're the ones trying to conceal the truth.
It's funny you say that,
Mustache in the
Pedro.
shade.
The bottom of this mine shaft. If we don't warn the population, their numbers will increase radically. Mr. de Castellac is prepared to pay a very high price to be able to defuse a picture of a pair
We
of
need to
these
photograph
monsters.
something.
This is a very risky mission, and you're free to
Huh,
So
how kind of
basically,
you.
DomZ aren't exactly
So
our best
basically,
friends.
this is
Tell
the
your
next
boss I'll
evolution
have
of
this
Pokemon,
picture.
the long lost sequel to Pokemon
Pokemon
Snap.
Snap, yes, and you're not on rail actually. But let me use this a bit to talk a bit about our main heroine, Jade. I really like her, honestly. She may not be the most complex, deep character you may see in a video game, but I honestly genuinely like how she's presented, the setting that she's put in, and how she reacts to things that happen around her. When people, usually these days, when people usually tend to have the argument of having a good example for a strong female character protagonist, usually people may think like, say, Bayonetta, which happens to combine both good personality and also fan service for the male audience, for example. I honestly think Jade is a good example of a character that is, well, if anything, a character before being a female character. I honestly believe that if your character is constructed well, it doesn't really matter what gender he or she is, it's perfectly fine.
Like, gender is the last thing, like, among the last things you should
So
consider
many video
defining
game
a
developers these days would love to just point and say, oh, look at how female this character is. Anyway, there's an item out there, but we can't reach it just yet. It's reserved for later. This also introduces you the mechanic of doing things in co-op with your partner. In this case, pressure plates. But later on, it will be more complex, obviously, as usual.
Yeah, I remember you saying a similar thing when I asked you what you think of Emiliana Perfetti.
Well, Emiliana is not the more like supporting character than anything, but I guess Kat is also another good example since she's the protagonist.
Jade to me...
Bayonetta is an interesting example because, like, she owns her femininity, but at the same time she has an actual character.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I guess it's right about it. I should have probably done in the first part, but let me put this disclaimer right here before more time is ready. Don't worry, it's just
I gotta tell you something important.
after this cutscene.
Now may be a good time to show you my latest invention. 2 years of work.
Allow me to show you my latest invention.
So, what it is?
Diego-matic.
Violet Coyote would be so proud.
Homemade biocarburant.
Yes, they are jet boots propelled by farts. Did I mention that these developers are French?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes. Well, and Italian.
And partially Italian, yeah. Remember, Michel Ancel is still the main guy behind it, so... And remember, Rayman is also... This is the classic Ubisoft humor, like that was also in Rayman games.
Toilet humor, okay, it's official.
May not have been the most reliable of fuel sources.
And there you have it.
Cool.
Oh, Jade's reaction to that.
Just flying up. For example, look at this.
Another demonstration, just let me know.
And there you go, you activate that with the triangle
Why were you hiding
command.
that from me?
Oh, I still had a few bugs to
And I
work
think
out.
you still do.
Don't change a thing. It's perfect.
If you say so, Jade. Jade to me is an
disagree.
Remember, Paige is kind of a sort of like a father figure because he's the one holding the orphanage, as he said previously in the previous part. So to Jade, obviously, is the one like a sort of father figure to her through and through. But anyway, let me say this one because it kind of needs to be done. I should have said in the first part. I briefly mentioned this. Oh yeah, another cool thing. You can find some maps in some of the levels. If you can take photographs of them, that scans the entire map for you on your digitized device.
Jade.
It's a cool thing of integrating a mechanic. But anyway, you may have noticed this from the themes, or for example, what you just talked about. But this game deals with a lot. While the message of this game is relatively simple, it's not too complex. This game still deals with heavy political theme, oppression, totalitarianism, discussions about it, what's important for the people, and what's important to do in case of an invasion of an extreme force. If you don't like any of these things, or you think it's too much for you, I apologize, but this is not the run for you. Because me and the whisper teams will be presented to us, and me and the others will discuss about this when the time will come.
Honestly, on that note, a lot of video games are not for you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it seems more part of the course than anything.
Wait, Lyperidian Cleodius, is that Latin for something?
Yes, well, some names are made up, Dweebs, mind you, but we're still Latin. Remember, Dweebs, if you watch any documentaries, I hope you did, when classifying a species before using the colloquial name, like say leopard, for example, the host of the documentary will classify it with its Latin name, as in biology, since biology classifies them with that genome first. Anyway, this is an anemonia, sorry. It's based on a sea plant.
Anemones.
Anemones, there you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say anemone is finding Nemo.
But unfortunately, they blocked the way, so yeah, that's
same
just...
year, so...
These are our. These basically can get us currency faster.
Oh, materia! I hear that this goes for a lot in Midgar.
They pay much units for each crystal. Bravo.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Basically-
Joe.
This is your actual main currency that you can get in the game. While in Universe, you have to pay with units, similar to Star Wars, for example, units. However, you don't actually collect units on your own unless you get paid for a job. Instead, you have to gather these materia crystal. And they get automatically converted thanks to Secundo.
Also, Jova, I'm really sorry, but Midgar recently went through a major credit crunch, and now materia are about as worth. Only thing you can buy with materia now, if you're lucky, is like tins of tomato soup.
Dwibs. Materia are not the currency. Materia
Paige,
are
get
the
your
riches
fat
that
ass
you
in here.
purchase with the
Not
currency.
equipped for that.
Yeah, but recently, that's what caused the credit crunch. They tried to turn materia into currency, and well, that didn't turn out very well.
Whose dumb idea was that, Shinra? And again, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Could you give me a time, please?
Go to 12.
Yeah. In fact, Jova, his screw up was so monumental, they had him executed.
There.
So you're telling me that
Alright,
Sephiroth
we'll
killing
get
President
there.
Shinra was really just a cover job by Shinra themselves, who secretly hired Sephiroth to do it?
Totally.
Yes. You see, I'm making more lore for Final Fantasy VII than they have been spurred on for the
Oops.
past 15
Yeah,
years.
I accidentally heard Paige.
Well, they
Anyway,
said that
there.
things are going to be elaborated on in the remake, so who knows?
there may be
here's the
some
thing,
things here and there.
Reminder audience that we're recording this a bit before E3, so anything that happens there is everyone gets to this point.
The last thing
Pedro,
we've heard
get
has been the
ready
first report of that
and
game.
go.
See, the problem, it's not so much that Dwebs, the compilation titles did try to, I guess, expand on the lore. The problem is that they did it in all, they did it in most of the wrong ways possible.
Oh jeez.
Oh snap!
Now it's time for combat. This type of enemies can be a bit tricky, but only if it's in groups. When it's single like that, it's actually easy to deal. And
Is it a moth?
it's more like a dragonfly.
Combined with a face hugger by the looks of it.
Crochax.
Don't go
Jeez.
near them, whatever you do.
Thanks.
Actually,
Trying to
no,
get.
it's like a dragonfly with the mouth of
Unfortunately,
a
we had to
predator.
defeat them. Yeah, Paige is not exactly the best tool in the shed when it comes to combat right now, so we need to kind of do most of the jobs. Like I mentioned, a common thing for collectathons platformers of this area is that combat was more tacked on. Watch
There'll be more nearby, Jade. They usually attack.
explains this concept way better than I can do. But in this case, I think it's serviceable. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's functional for what it needs to do, and the enemies are not too tough for their own good. So it's fine. Honestly, the only game that I think honestly did try to push things up, in order to expand a bit was before Crisis, and the West never even got that. So, oops. And not to mention, the compilation also did not have organic direction, in a sense that each title was done by a different set of teams with only a general direction in how things should have gone. And as a result, a lot of things contradict each other. Mainly, for example, the Nibalai accident, where... hold on.
Sweet Jesus. Jellies.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. Ready to leave.
Sorry, I need to take photos first.
Ah, these little Medusas.
Nice
I'm
to see
sure
your
now is
priority.
the ever so
gotta
gracious. Perfect time, place, and time for this.
Hashtag being attacked by monsters.
These Medusas are easy to defeat.
By Medusas, that's it. By Medusas.
Yeah.
The large ones.
Hashtag
in the
Medusa
heavens.
attack.
Yes, be careful. No crap. I tell you this is you just taking a picture of some.
Oh, what's this?
Ooh.
Alicia
Magnificent.
Splendid.
Ordinarily,
Splendid,
Alicias
sir.
live in the water.
Thank you, Science Center lady.
Pendants. Anyway, I think now we can actually help. So there you go.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Maybe we need to photograph for that one's
in combat,
backside.
Paige's jet boots attack actually stuns the enemies or makes them fly, and you can use them as projectiles to kill them in multiple ways. Thankfully, even if you can hit your partner, there's no friendly fire, so you don't really damage Paige. There we go. Only a bunch of crow checks, and we should be done. Like I said, when they grab you, actually your partner can actually help you in getting freed, but so has to have the opposite. They can also grab your partner, and Jade has to free them from their grabs. So basically, pay also attention to your partner when it comes to combat. I honestly never managed to have my partner go, being KO'd in any situation. So I don't know what happens if his health reaches 0. But I'm guessing it's not that bad as a consequence. It's easily fixable. I mean. Anyway, here we go. I think now we're about to get the tools that Paige needs, but in the meantime, yeah. Basically, the thing that most point of contention of the completion of Final Fantasy 7 is the nipple accident, because basically each game tells a different version of how it happened in trying to say, oh, this thing happened at the same time. It's kind of like the Resident Evil games, where the more they went on, the more they say, oh, this was happening in Raccoon City at the same time as everything else. But honestly, on that front, the game that I prefer the most is Dirge of Cerberus, because
that one's a sequel, so it doesn't really contradict.
It's kind of like Metal Gear Rising. It just progresses the plot. It expands a bit more on things.
On Vincent's character of all things, so that's an.
Someone else.
Okay, digitalization terminated.
Crashing in that regard. And it basically doesn't have to rely on stuff of the past like Sephiroth, instead building up a new threat altogether.
I think a lot of
I really like the voice. And I really like the voice acting in that one. I thought that was one of the better voiced compilation games, I would argue.
I think the compilation's problems can be summed up with Advent Children, which has a lot of the issues.
Wait.
Okay.
What?
More when we'll get to the movies, Weebs, but why I admit that the complete version fixes some things, it's like applying a bandage to a fractured bone.
Let me put it like this. The compilation is pretty much what started a lot of stereotypes people have about Final Fantasy VII. It got people thinking that Cloud was a mopey loser. It got people thinking that Sephiroth's sword is that flipping long, when anyone who's played the original 7 game will tell you that it's not that stupidly long. It also got the overly grim, dark tones and everything.
I think you got that backwards, Jova. Cloud always was a mopey loser. That's the thing. What the problem is that the compilation made him look like, oh, he was this edgy badass that's never smiled.
No. That's the thing. He wasn't some mopey loser. He was more a dork more than anything.
Not to mention, Pedro, the loser mopey part was like for a grand total of 5 minutes when he gets rescued from the live stream in Disc 2, but thanks to the motivational speech of his friends, he basically gets over it.
Yeah.
But it's not as cocky as it is in the past. At that point, he's a more complete character, therefore basically telling the message of the game. The fact that he has to find his own identity. I get that in Advent Children he has the geostigma, therefore he has a reason to not be happy. But I don't know. But
so
again,
forced.
I'm talking already too much, and I'll save this for the actual movie. Anyway, we found the reg, so we can actually pass through here.
Thanking you kindly.
Basically, the Pages is more adequate with this kind of tool, so he's gonna use it. There we go.
Going back to what I was saying earlier, Jade to me feels like the kind of protagonist where you think she's gonna be all stoic and everything, but she's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I was going to say myself, the strong female protagonist, quote-unquote, stereotypes that I really hate are the ones where apparently the writers think strong and independent means acting like a complete cow.
Or a robot.
I'm right here.
Honestly, Joe, I think being a cow's worse. I mean, with being a robot, I can at least go,
Or,
whatever. But with a complete bitch, on the other hand, I'm like, God, she's horrible. Who wants to hang out near her?
so like lightning in the first 13.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Which is
No one likes lightning.
Lightning, you'll be surprised, Shiro. There are a lot of
I'll be
people
honest,
that love
Well,
her.
I say no one. I forgot about
there
the
is
developer
one-
of the fucking game.
There is one person, Shiroi, that
No, I am aware. I am aware.
I've only ever seen, honestly, guys. So I've only ever seen lightning and stuff that wasn't related to 13.
Good.
That's because lightning is at her best when she's not being written by Toriyama. That's exactly the thing.
Not to mention, Waves, lightning is well, for us liking it or not, technically the face of 13. She was chosen as the protagonist tone, even
when you
I'd
get down
argue
to it,
13 as a structured that has no major party member as a protagonist.
Yeah, that's kind of the weird thing. It's like, well, she never really became the face of
that
it.
example of animation where they grab it. So obviously she's the target number one when it comes to the crossovers. But rest assured, Waves, the Operomnia, for example, does a fantastic job in fleshing out all the other party members, and even some of the antagonists. Believe it or not, I know you're not believing me with this, Pedro, but in Operomnia, Caius is a more legit antagonist, believe it or not.
No. The concept behind Caius is interesting. It was the execution that was terrible. I can see a better writer doing well with Caius, honestly.
Also, yeah, another thing, if you noticed with the dialogue, I probably also for a better with time, and also because of the French quirkiness of Michelin's. But you may notice that the dialogue is a bit witty in that case, in that sense. But I honestly like it. It gives the game a personality.
Oh yeah, me too.
Who's this?
A ghost?
Stay here. Damn it. I want to take a photo of you. There you go.
That amoeba's shy.
The more the animal is shy and the more difficult it is to photograph, of course, the more money you will get from it.
Wow, this really is a sequel to Pokemon Snap.
To me, the one that bothers me the most, Dwebs, is... Well, don't get me wrong, the cow example is, of course, one of the ultimate terrible ones. But to me, the one that feels that most disappointing to me is the laziest one, which is just write the female character as if she's a man and that's it. Like, because Lightning also has kind of that thing where a lot of writers just write their like they have a female character, but they don't think of it, but they don't really make it like, oh, it's a character that doesn't have any reason. Like, oh, okay, let me put it like this. Like, it's a character that has any sort of feminine traits in her in the way she does things or personality whatsoever. It's just she may as well. To, I guess, stupid or just lazy.
I guess the reason I've never really caught on to it is like, well, I'm not really one who is into the whole gender stereotypes thing. So with Lightning, I never really got the sense that she acted like a man. I just got the sense that she was just a terrible girl. Like, I mean, nothing really masculine about her.
Like, females don't have to be feminine, Pedro.
Ooh, look at that, a Nautilus.
Well, I'm not saying they have to, Shiroi, but at the same time, like, it helps differentiate the characters between each other when you do that kind of stuff.
The issue is when they make them symbolically masculine.
Yeah, I never got that with Lightning. I just got the sense that she.
Hello. Hold on, Dweebs, because we have another enemy type. Oh shit.
You want white or wheat toast with your omelet, Miss Grace?
Oh boy.
I was gonna say, I guess that explains why every time when I saw stuff like Dissidia 012, I was like, well, she's a little bit stuffy, but I've seen worse. I guess it was because I hadn't seen the Source games.
Yeah, trust me, dude. Whenever people dislike her, it just you have to look at the source material for that. In which case, you're better off just skipping the source material. Like, let me put it this way: people consider that her trilogy to be what wasted an entire game generation's worth of Final Fantasy main games.
Well, there was 14.
I said main games.
14 is a main game. It's in the game.
It's an MMO. You know that doesn't count.
Actually, Davis makes a good point. Let's compare this to what is considered in crossovers. The face of 14, the character used, Ishtola. You're gonna love this heroine. Guess what? She's a cat girl. She's a sage-wise. She has white hair, and in a later part of the game, she gets blind.
Oh my god, it's you.
Wait, who is this?
It's you.
Basically,
I didn't realize your players came equipped with the club option.
Model
I love this
B53,
dialogue.
my little lady. Slices, dices, and pounds.
Oh.
Yeah, basically, East told her. Theo just described her. She's a cat lady. She has white hair, and later on, she's blinded. So yeah.
Basically, the gist of it with her is that she's part of a group that is basically a group of wise people that help your player character in, well, saving the world.
That's not that. I didn't catch the names. That's not that Xenoblade character.
No, that's Nia. You
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
what
understand
is
also
Nia's
Yeah,
deal?
really?
Yep.
You have to
Yeah,
understand
obviously
also
you'll
one
be
thing,
playing her when we get to
Shiroi,
Xenoblade Chronicles
and also for the others. We'll see more when Dweebs gets to do, well, not necessarily with Ishtola, mind you, but when we see the people in Eorzea, the continent of Final Fantasy 13, have a way of speaking that is a bit
14,
sophisticated. 14, yeah, in general, the Eorzea is the continent, Dweebs. Oh, anyway, hold on, a Nautilus. This is actually based on a real animal, mind you. The people in Eorzea has a way of speaking in a sophisticated kind of way. Imagine it's a difference, as Linkar put it in one of his reviews. It's a difference in saying something like, "Do this for me, please," or "Could you please move yourself there and do this for me, please." So, and the characters speak like that, and Ishtola is basically all about that. So you get situations like in the CDNT where you get Squall, that is a full character, mind you, so he's constantly not talking or thinking, oh, what's the deal with this? Why am I doing this? And then he gets basically jump scared by Ishtola coming behind him and saying, oh, so that is the way that you're proceeding towards. So it gives this kind of effect.
Yeah, the people in Final Fantasy 14 talk as though they've been, they come from like the 1500s.
It's because the localization team is the same one as 12, so they gave it a bit more. They decided to give it a bit more imposing personality to it. Anyway, time for what we came here for at the end of a dungeon. Time to find the thing we need to photograph. I'm sure this bridge is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
No, don't go on it.
Sea Waves is fine.
So it's
Let's
not like
see.
it's not like
There we are.
playing that Titanic story in Doctor Who.
Nope. Perfectly safe.
There we go.
Coming in loud and clear, Miss Jade. And remember, I would like to have the male and female Tyrolamax in the same picture.
Sure, alright.
You must get your jollies out to some of the weird things, sir.
So we need to wait until the pattern has, there you go, where both of them are up there. There, like that.
So what does this all prove about the government being evil, if I may
We need
ask?
to prove that the DomZ life form are infecting the planet and the Alpha team are doing nothing about it. But, oops, I'm afraid there's more than just two small creatures.
Oh, goody. It's an entire hive, isn't it?
Worse, Jova. The truth? There are the eyes.
Oh.
Okay, I can see why they wanted pictures about this. This could be bad.
Come here, often.
Okay, now this will make the front page.
It's one of the
Oh, well, we gave it 3,000 credits for it, so yeah.
I guess that's nice, considering how we're probably going to die from it.
Basically,
oh boy, 3,000 credits.
In true tradition of a Zelda dungeon, you need to use the tool that you have found here to defeat the boss, i.e. page Jet Boots attack, in order to have the boss getting stunned and you are able to hit it with your baton. Like that.
It turns blue when we attack him, how interesting.
Of course, and in between rounds he sends flunkies like the like the dragonfly enemies.
Don't worry, we got you.
Jesus, these are so persistent.
Somebody wants his baby back ribs badly.
So now we got tribal music.
Yeah, extreme fast-paced bongos.
The composer for Avatar.
No, remember, this guy has worked only with Ansel so far. For everything else that he did. There we go. Alright. Pull your head again, please. If I'd argue one thing, maybe is that this first boss is a bit spongy in the sense that he has a lot of help. Not in the sense that it's difficult, this pattern is easy to recognize and easy to stun and everything. It's just that you need to do that a lot of times. In case you're wondering, the game doesn't really have selective difficulties, it's just one predetermined. But as you can see, it's not too hard. The game is very generous in giving you healing items and dealing with your health and everything. So compared to stuff like the early Rayman games, it's relatively easy.
Okay, I'm definitely...
It also helps, let me also explain this might as well, because it's also an interesting project. It's technically the second major game that Ansel did in 3D, because for the first Rayman, Ansel knew what to do with a game. But at that point, he and his team didn't really know how to program a 3D game, mind you. And Ubisoft wanted them to do Rayman 2 in 3D because it was the jumping point between 2D and 3D platformers. So Ansel and his team were like, oh shit, if we're gonna do it now, we're probably gonna pull out a piece of crap. So we kinda need to buy out time and do something like a testing in between. That testing turned out to be another Ubisoft game called Tonic Trouble. If you don't remember it, don't bother. It's a prototype as it shows. It's more like a tech demo or anything.
Imagine that, Tio. Ubisoft trying out something that essentially amounts to just being a tech demo.
Is it?
Uh-oh. What's the plan now?
Okay, I guess the boss just decided to die.
Guess it was its last roar of defiance.
Oh well.
Not bad for a little girl and an old ham.
Aww.
We did it, Paige. Not bad for an old fart.
Oh, yeah. There you go, since the boss's corpse stays here, if you didn't photograph him during the fight, you can do it now. I just decided to do it because it gives a bit of risky edge to it, so...
Okay, I'm guessing, I guess the Men in Black really did have a very good reason to want to expose this, because that thing was dangerous! And if there's more of them...
that's not the thing.
Congratulations, Miss Jade, you have...
Hold it. I got a bone to pick.
Yeah, he could have literally just flown us in his
Mr.
car.
Never really existed.
Oh, what's this?
I think I owe you some explanations, Miss Jade.
Oh, snap. What?
It was just some space taxi.
Hold on.
Hop in.
Tax 1.
Why can't we ride in the limousine? That looks a lot more fancy. You never owned that limo, did you?
It was just fancy, like you said.
Miss Jade, you have brilliantly succeeded.
You are part of an entire universe, Miss Jade.
This world is bigger than you think.
Kinda.
Think you're the only one.
Basically, congratulations, Jade has just been recruited to the terrorist organization, the Iris Network.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the Avengers.
Well, kind of.
This is the central focus of the game. The Iris group is fighting against the Alpha team and the DomZ because we think that the Alpha team are not helping the people but instead aiding the DomZ and putting up a facade. And Jade's skill with photography may come very good in handy in helping the propaganda towards the population of Hyllis. If enough people gets if enough people get informed by this and basically get informed, sorry, I'm repeating myself, about everything, they will rise up against the oppression and possibly fight off the Alpha team on their own and free Hyllis once and for all. But you need proof. So that's what the main bulk of the game will be.
The Iris Network needs people like you. Help us.
But of course, for now it's just a simple proposal. Jade needs to think about it. The Akuda bar, get it? Because it's bar Akuda, fuck you game.
Did you say peepers?
Mm-hmm. At the Akuda bar. Be sure to remember the password.
Alright.
Sound in its shell, the precious pearl is the slave.
A pearl being a slave.
How romantic.
That's a passphrase.
Oh, by the way, I almost forgot your reward.
Oh, thanks, I guess.
Hope to see you soon, Miss Jade. So,
wait, I forgot my iPod.
Jade, think about all this hoop nanny.
If there's a way to stop this war, we can't let it pass us by.
So she's not one of those reserve types who's like, I could care less but for
and
the
yes,
money.
but as you can see by the portrait, you will see this character later. Yeah, the mustaches were fake. So you pretty much got it.
It's interesting to see how Jay's actually someone who legit does want to do right by people. Interesting.
But not to the point of jumping in just because.
But Joe, that wouldn't be so much more interesting if we had like 5 hours of her moping about how she just doesn't know if she can do it. It wouldn't be so much better, man. Of course not.
See you for the next part.
See ya.